Alright, so the NBA season officially kicked off last night, and we had a nice couple of games to start off the season. We had the Nets taking on the Bucks, KD versus Giannis. It was an interesting matchup. Giannis and the Bucks managed to get the win. It was definitely a great game. KD was still KD, man. He balled out tonight. Harden did what he could, but ultimately the Bucks were able to get the win, so that was great for them. Obviously, this was a joyous night for all Bucks fans and the Bucks players as well as the Bucks organization because they were getting their championship rings and they were letting that banner down. So it was a great night for them. For them to get their rings and be able to beat the Nets, that's great. Bucks look nice, and they're definitely going to be a very, very tough threat in the Eastern Conference. As for the Nets, they're going to have to learn to adjust without Kyrie Irving. It's the first game of the season. No one's really worried, of course. There's nothing you really need to take away from this game in terms of worrying for the Nets. All you really got to know is that without Kyrie Irving, they're losing out on a star player, but they're going to have to make adjustments. And I trust in them. KD and Harden should be enough for them to compete for a championship, so we'll see what happens with that. But Steve Nash and the crew, they're going to have to make some adjustments, and, down the stretch, they're going to have to make more plays and be able to execute. But first game of the season, not really worried about that. But I'm not here to focus on that game. I'm here to focus on another game that played. The later game, we had the Warriors taking on the Lakers. Interesting matchup here, interesting matchup. Obviously, this was, kind of the rematch game from the matchup they had last year in the play-in tournament where LeBron came up clutch and ended up propelling the Lakers into the postseason. The Warriors would go on and lose in the play-in tournament. They would miss the playoffs. So obviously, new season, everything's different. Both teams are ready to go. They're going to be looking different from how they looked last year. And I got to say, from this game, man, obviously it's opening night. Both teams got work to do. It's a long season. But from what I saw from this Warriors team tonight, they're going to be a very good team and they're going to be able to compete. It's crazy. On a night where Steph Curry shoots 5 of 21 and 2 of 8 from the three-point line, the Warriors find a way to beat the Lakers. That is crazy. Now, of course, Curry finishes with 21 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. He still did his thing in trying to be effective, even when he wasn't shooting the ball well. But, man, they held him to 5 of 21 shooting. Great job on the Lakers defense. They kept double-teaming Curry all game and getting the ball out of his hands. So that was great on the Lakers defense there. But this Warriors team, the guy stepped up here, man. The guy stepped up here. And this young guy here, Jordan Poole, I like him. I like what I'm seeing from him, man. I like how he's playing basketball. He looks like a nice young player. I like what I'm seeing from him, man. Until Klay comes back, he's going to be at that spot. And once Klay comes back, he's going to be, a great weapon for them as well. So this season, the Warriors will be a competitive team in the Western Conference. They're going to be great. We'll just see how it goes down the stretch. But, man, once they get Klay back, they're going to be a real threat. They've got nice players here they play physical, they play tough, and they just play solid basketball. In the fourth quarter down the stretch, they just played great basketball. And it was great team basketball all around. They were able to get a job done. So credit to the Warriors team. They're well coached. Obviously, we know what Kerr does with them, man. Just these guys, they play tough. And the Warriors, man, they're going to be a problem in the Western Conference. So we got to prepare for that. But we're not really here to focus on the Warriors. We're here to focus on the Lakers, man. The Lakers in this game, it comes down to a couple elements. One, they did not play well defensively down the stretch. And, they ended up giving up a lot of shots they shouldn't have given up in the fourth quarter. Which, again, they'll work on that. But, defensively, for the most part, they were good for much of this game. But just the fourth quarter, it just went haywire. And that's ultimately what cost them this game. So, defensively down the stretch, they didn't play well. Turnovers were also a bit of a problem. It was a problem for both teams. But, those turnovers started to pile up for the Lakers in the fourth quarter. Not to mention, they weren't getting much production from their other guys. LeBron and AD were perfect here, man. LeBron and AD, I got the stats right here. LeBron 13 of 23 and 5 of 11 from the three-point line. He had 34 points. AD 15 to 26. He was not good from the three-point line, only one of 5, but he had 33 points. Both of these guys balled out and did what they needed to do to try and get these guys to win. Of course, LeBron had the 5 turnovers, which you don't want to see, but at the same time, towards the end of the game, that's where they kind of really turned the ball over. But yeah, LeBron and AD played great to open up, so we know that duo is still great. However, no one else really kind of showed up in this game and helped them, and that was the problem scoring-wise. So yeah, defensively down the stretch, it wasn't good. Offensively, no one was really helping them out, but obviously we know the story of this game. I've been holding on to it for about 5 minutes now. Let's mention him. Russell Westbrook. I don't even know where to start with this. Russell Westbrook tonight. Let me just read the stats because I don't even know what to make of what I saw him do on the court today. Russell Westbrook in this game played 35 minutes. He was 4 of 13 from the field, 0 of 4 from the three-point line. He did not shoot a free throw. He had 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 turnovers, and a plus-minus of -23. He was the least effective player on the court in this game. When Russell Westbrook was on the court, the Lakers offense looked confused. They couldn't move the ball well. They just couldn't move the ball well. And when they put the ball in Russ's hands to lead as the point guard, it did not lead to great results. Rondo handled the offense better than Russ did. When Rondo was in as the point guard, it was a lot more fluid. This is going to be a little bit of an issue for the Lakers this season. Obviously, it's the first game. No need to panic. They know they got work to do. They've got a lot of new players coming in that weren't on this team last season, so they're going to have to rework all these guys in. Obviously, Melo's here now. Russ is here now. They brought back Dwight. You know, they've got a lot of new players here, so they're going to have to work these guys in, and it's going to be tough, but it's going to take time. So if the Lakers do start off slow to start off the season, just know they're just going to go through some growing pains and work them out. However, when it comes to this Russell Westbrook situation, I do believe they'll be able to figure it out, but honestly, I don't know what they're going to do. They'll figure something out, but I don't know what they're going to do, because if you watched him tonight, you could clearly tell Russell Westbrook does not fit within the Lakers offense. He does not fit in within their Lakers offense. He's not a good fit. He's not a good fit with the Lakers offense. The Lakers really don't know what to do with them. There were times where Vogel legit was just taking Russ out just because he had Russ out there. Russ was just not being effective. He just had to constantly take him in and out of the game just because he just did not know what to do with Russ. And obviously, when the game is on the line and it's coming down the stretch, like the last 5 minutes of the game, Russ has to be the guy out there for them. But when he's out there, he's not producing. So like, it's a problem. Obviously, again, it's the first game of the season. We already knew how bad Russ was in the preseason. That was different. But yeah, tonight he wasn't there, man. He just, man. This is rough, man. If you're a Lakers fan, this is rough to see. Obviously, as I've said 1,000 times, it's the first game of the season. Nobody's panicking. The Lakers have plenty of time this season to get this together and figure out how Russell Westbrook's going to fit in their offense, but it's not going to be easy. They got their work cut out for them. You know, you have a night where LeBron and AD both score over 30 points, and they hold Steph Curry to 5 of 21 shooting, yet at the end of the day, the Lakers take an L. That's rough, man. That's rough. Russell Westbrook in this game was a big factor as to why they lost. Plus or minus of -23. My God, it was the worst on the entire court. He was the least effective player on the court tonight. I don't even know what you can say Russ was doing out there. I mean, there were just times where he ended up picking up. There was one point in the game where he picked up an offensive foul, and I looked at it and said, you know what? It's a better thing he picked up an offensive foul, because if it wasn't an offensive foul, that would have been a turnover. It would have been like a worse turnover. Take that one right there. Offensive foul, it's a turnover. Give the ball back to the Warriors. Because if you saw what happened on that offensive foul, Russell Westbrook raced up once again, caused the offensive foul, and threw the ball right to a Warriors defender. No Lakers was in sight. I don't know what he was thinking with that. But yeah, Russ in this game was just, he was just awful. He looked lost out there at times. Like he just didn't know where he fit in. You can tell Russ is trying to defer to LeBron and AD. He understands that he's the third best player on this team. This is not his team. He's not the leader. And he's just trying to figure out his role. But man, it's just tough. It's just tough. So again, I think the Lakers this season, they're going to start off slow. So I don't want anyone to, you know how the NBA season is always like that with the fans, where if a team starts off slow, oh, let's get in on them. Like they did that with Curry last year when he was playing bad to start off the season, and then Curry went off on the Trailblazers, and then from there on, he was just balling out, and people had nothing to say about it. It's going to be a slow process for the Lakers. They may start off, their first 10 to 15 games, they may have a losing record. But you know, I believe the Lakers will get this together. They will figure out how they're going to utilize Russell Westbrook. They're going to get this together. At some point, they're going to get this together. It's the first game of the season. No need to worry. It's the first game of the season. However, we do got to point out, they got their work cut out for them. It's the first game of the season, plenty of time to fix this, but they definitely got their work cut out for them because Russell Westbrook was a problem tonight. And he would have to be the biggest factor as to why they lost this game because he didn't do anything effectively. He didn't shoot the ball effectively. He was not setting up his teammates, so he wasn't even being a great passer. He wasn't rebounding the way you expect him to. He was turning the ball over. I mean, he just wasn't making any efficient plays. It was bad. Russell Westbrook in general was just bad tonight. But you know what? It is what it is. It's his Laker debut. You know, Melo had a nice couple of shots, but you know, Melo didn't shoot perfect from the field. Though again, you know, Melo's coming off the bench. You're not exactly worried about Melo coming out here and putting up an amazing performance. Melo gave you 9 points. You can work with that. But yeah, Russell Westbrook was the biggest factor, man. You can't get 8 points from your third best player, and he's giving you 35 minutes a game because we know what Russell Westbrook can bring to the table. You like seriously, 8 points? 8 points and 3 assists from Russell Westbrook. That doesn't make sense. So they got work, man. They got work to do. Plenty of time, obviously. It's the opening night of the NBA season. We'll just see what happens with that. But with that being said, Warriors get the win here. Their team looks nice. They look well balanced. They're going to be a problem this year in the Western Conference. Meanwhile, the Lakers, they got some work to do. But over time, they'll get it together. We'll see what happens. But with that being said, that's all I got. And I'm out of here, man. Peace.